try to do with Alio is make sure that all of our ingredients are as clean as possible.
You had obviously gone down quite a steep path in medicine up to that point.
It was definitely challenging. I spent my whole undergrad, shadowing doctors, volunteering at hospitals, taking all of the pre-med courses and every single science course out there. So we're bootstrapping this company, so everything has been done pretty much by myself. And then
Before this episode starts, I have a quick favour to ask of you. If you've ever liked an episode of the show, please hit the follow or subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Thank you and enjoy this episode.
Initiating launch sequence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Patrick Manning, welcome to Ready for Launch. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ian. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'd love if you could do me the honors of introducing your business and telling me what do you think unique about it?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Alio, which is an allergy-friendly protein bar company, and it's completely different from anything else on the market today. So Alio is free from the top 9 food allergens, and it's also high in protein, low in calories, high in fiber, low in sugar, and it's a completely different bar, doesn't have any seeds, doesn't have any oats, and it's unlike anything else out there today.
Amazing. What are those top 9 allergens that you talked about?
Yeah, so top 9. So we're free from peanuts, tree nuts, egg, dairy, soy, wheat, which is kind of the gluten, seafood, and then shellfish and sesame. So we're free from the top 9 food allergens. We're also vegan, so it's a vegan bar. We're kosher certified, non-GMO, and like I said, gluten-free. So we really hit a huge mass audience. And we're high in protein, so it's very different than anything else that's been in the market for the past, couple decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was it that led you to create something like this? Why did you feel that there was a big need for this?
Yeah, so I was, back in school. So I graduated college in 2020, and I was on the road to medical school. I had no desire or anything to go down business road, to do anything like that. I was going to go to medical school, was ready to take my MCATs, took all my pre-med courses. And, of course, 2020 was when COVID happened. So I was in my senior year of college, and we got sent home in the springtime right before I graduated. And that really made me, gave some time to sit back and think. I've been shadowing doctors. I was on this path and I was ready to go. And I was like, is there anything else that I could possibly do as, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I didn't know if I wanted to go to school online. I wasn't sure how anything was going to unfold. And while I was in school, I was always on the go, always eating a bunch of protein bars, and found that a lot of them didn't really sit too well with me. And a lot of them weren't really, didn't really taste good overall. And I have my brother, he has a peanut allergy, tree nut allergy, and he was in high school at the time, and he was always on the go with sports and stuff, and he couldn't find anything to eat. Even the bars that I was eating, couldn't eat just because they had peanuts in it, or they had tree nuts or cashews or something like that. So I was like, we have all this time. What else? What is out there that you can eat? So went down that rabbit hole of trying to find out what is out there that's, an allergy-friendly protein bar that's high in protein, doesn't really have, too many calories or sugars. And we realized that there really wasn't anything. Everything else that was out there was a seed bar or an oat bar, more granola based, more snack bar based. Nothing really that was built for someone who was on the go or who had a food allergy that needed higher protein. So with all that time, we decided to go down that road and try to build this company. And that's kind of how it all started. So it all started based off just, because of COVID, got sent home. It was like, let's try to do something else. I then decided to build the company based out of my kitchen, starting with just, a food processor and throwing a bunch of recipes together.
Do you feel like the allergy-free space is underserved in general, or was there a specific hole in the kind of sports protein bar area?
So I feel like in general, the allergy-friendly space is really underserved. I mean, there's 32 million Americans at least that have, a severe food allergy in the top 9, and almost over 100 million that are just, have some type of allergy or limitation to food. And I feel like there's not too many companies that target that, community specifically. And also the performance on the go, high protein area is really, really underserved. There's some companies, like I said, who have, a seed bar, granola bar, some more sweet kind of snacks, but nothing that was, for someone who was on the go wanted a nutritious bar that, is worried about what they put into their body. And that's, where we kind of saw that there was a really need for it. And it was for myself, my family, also millions of others. And we decided to go down that road and fix it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like the protein bars. I'm sure there are lots that hit the vegan space, but they're all nut based, right? That's the traditional version of like a non-meat protein. So yeah, how do you go about creating something new? Where does that protein come from?
Yeah, so there is a lot of vegan bars. There's even a decent amount of gluten-free bars, but a bar that kind of has everything it's free from, there's not too many. So we had to really, we spent probably the first year and a half just in research and development, and it was just in the kitchen at home, trying to put ingredients together and figure out the perfect blend. So we're using a blend of pea and rice protein to get the most amount of protein possible in our bar, and we have 15 grams. So we were able to accomplish that with that combination, and we were able to then use a lot of other ingredients that are out on the market but not all put together like a product, and pull that together. So we didn't have a ton of sugars. So we're using an allulose and monk fruit combination to sweeten our products without bringing in a ton of outside sugar. And then also, keeping the fiber high with a clean label, tapioca fiber syrup to kind of make a really well-rounded product that doesn't have a ton of calories, but still keeps you feeling, full and satisfied while on the go. That's also free from the top 9 food allergens.
Amazing. Yeah, I'd love to come back to your process of building that recipe, but I always like to rewind a little bit at the start of this and talk about what influenced you like along your life to become an entrepreneur. Because you mentioned you weren't really thinking about it at all. And I wondered, was there anything in your childhood that you think affected you, through your family or friends in even considering entrepreneurship as an avenue?
Yeah, so my mom, she has her own business. My grandmother started it. My mom took it over. So that kind of untraditional lifestyle of being a business owner has always been in our DNA and in our genes. And I grew up like that. I never really thought about that, and I was always more science oriented, going down physical therapy or some kind of sports, or and I decided I wanted to go to medical school. But yeah, so nothing really, just besides my mom and stuff, nothing else that really sparked it. But I think looking back on it, being surrounded by that and that different lifestyle really helped me make that jump to decide to go and do my own thing, because my parents were just so supportive. Like, they understood what it's like to do that, and to have that support right out of college, and to stop going to medical school and taking that path was really helpful in making the jump and building a protein bar that's never been done before.
Yeah, was it did you ever have any mini businesses as you were growing up, or is this really your first taste of it?
So I've never had any like mini business growing up or anything. I was really focused on, just going to college and getting a regular job in some kind of sports or medicine field. But after school, this wasn't the first thing that I did start. So I knew I wanted to build this protein bar, but I was afraid to do it. I was told that it was very challenging to make. It's not like there was a blueprint out there where it's like, okay, there's another kind of bar that we could really copy, but make one small tweak, and then we would be able to follow their plan. This bar's never been done before. There really wasn't anything else like it out there. So I wanted to start something first that was a little bit easier to do. So I actually came out with a supplement that I, kind of put together. It's kind of like a whole body detox, liver support. And I was like, this will be my first product. And then I will, go to the next product of the protein bar, trying to kind of make it also be in that allergy-friendly space, and try to, have something that was an easier entry-level product to then get my feet wet and then jump into something that I knew was going to be better, but was more challenging. So that lasted probably about 6 months or a year. We actually developed a product. We formulated a proprietary blend of a liver support. And then the FDA came and they banned one of they didn't really fully ban it, but there was issues with one of the ingredients that we were using. And it came kind of out of nowhere, and I was super surprised about that. And then a lot of companies were pulling their products off of Amazon that had that ingredient in there. because there was this little issue going on, and I was like, completely destroyed, felt like everything was falling apart. And then but that's what really made me just jump into the next step of, building the protein bar. So looking back on it, it was the best thing that could have happened because I didn't spend too much time doing that. But that little bit kind of, got me ready for what we're doing right now, introduced me to the whole business side and what needed to be done. And now we are, running well with Alio.
That's so interesting. What made you decide that was the time to like go down the next avenue and take the next step instead of trying to find a replacement ingredient, change your supplements a little bit?
I just, it probably was based off the fact that I knew I really wanted to make the protein bar, and I knew there was a really, really big need for it. And I was kind of just afraid of, taking that jump initially. And I think that small little roadblock made me realize, like, okay, this is a little sign, like just go do what you really want to do. And that's to develop the allergy-friendly protein bar. And that's, when it all started, which was, looking back, an amazing thing to do. Because I'm glad I didn't just take the time to try to, reformulate, redevelop, and do that. I think, even though the protein bar space in general is oversaturated, I think supplements is hard. And I also thought that it's kind of hard to tell, like, if it's actually working. There's really no metric. It's just you swallow a pill and you're assuming it works, but you're not really sure. At least with this, there's taste, and taste is huge. And if you like the taste, the product's good. So yeah, we made that jump, and that was super needed.
Yeah. You mentioned a few times like the fear of taking the next step and being afraid to start that protein bar first. And so taking that, you describe it as a smaller step. I think it's still a big thing to build your own product anyway. But was there anything that helped you get over that fear?
Yes. So I think I have a mentor who's been following me and helped me through the whole way. And just like, talking it out with him has been, so great and so helpful. And he's, been around the block for many years and has done many amazing things. So for him to kind of help me walk through the process was great in, getting over that fear and knowing, like, okay, like, this product's going to be very easy to sell once you develop it. Development's going to be challenging. Once you get to that point, you're going to be set. So, having that voice in my ear and help to get over that was really, really helpful.
Did you bring on a mentor because you had decided to start a business, or is this someone who has been mentoring your growth as a person in general?
This was because I decided to start a business. So I wanted to go down that road, and I got introduced to him, and it was just, an amazing connection. And he's been very grateful to help out and to see, our success and to build this company.
How did you find your mentor, like choose them from the many people out there in the world that could have helped you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was through a connection, and, just, it's all about who you know. So just talking to people about building, a company. And back then it was the supplement product, and just talking to people about it in general has opened so many doors. But that, talk to the right person, they ended up knowing someone, and then we ended up having a 30-minute conversation, and it just led to years of mentoring and helping out and growing the company.
How did you decide that they would be the person that would be able to help you? Like, did you have a vision for what you needed from a mentor?
I actually didn't at the time. I really didn't know. And now, like, looking back on it, I have a few other mentors who have been helping along the way who are, just amazing. And you can kind of see, like, the personalities of them and how they're all somewhat similar. And it's kind of what, like, I feel like I resonate with accordingly. But in the beginning, it was just he knew what was going on, knew the space, big in the food space. And just he was willing to help and give great advice and great feedback and help us, move along on the process. And, sometimes when you don't know what you're doing, you lean on people, and it worked out well.
Have you learned from that experience any techniques that, anyone listening, if they don't have a mentor, what questions can they ask themselves, or what approaches can they use if they don't have access to someone like that? What is this person teaching you to do?
So I, even though he is great, and I think a mentor is great, I do think, within ourselves, we can, find all those answers, and we can, solve all those problems. It's just really taking that step back and looking at everything as a whole, and seeing, like, okay, like, is this, plan everything out. And that's kind of what we did together. It was like, you have a supplement company or supplement product right now, because it was all under the same kind of company, plan that out and see how that's going to go. And then there was that roadblock there, but see if you made that switch, like, is it still is the end goal going to be what you kind of want? And it's really just extracting everything, looking at the big picture, and then just deciding, like, do I feel better about going with, just for my case, the protein bars, or trying to switch the, product and make that work. And at the end of the day, I just felt better. And that decision was made by myself, was better to, take that leap of faith and jump and know that this product is really needed. And I'm going to go, deliver this to the community, to the world, and going to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Cool. You had obviously gone down quite a steep path in medicine up to that point. Was it difficult for you to make that shift and say, no, I'm going to put that on pause or finish it forever and go and do this new thing?
It was definitely challenging. I spent my whole undergrad, shadowing doctors, volunteering at hospitals, taking all of the pre-med courses and every single science course out there. And that was, my life. That's what I thought was going to happen. That's what I told people I was going to do. And, if COVID never happened, if I never got sent home, I probably would be doing that right now. So it's crazy to look back and think about that. But yeah, it was, challenging to make that change, because there is, the security of, having that regular job and going down a road like that. And there's also, and people also like that, when you branch out and you're young and you say, yeah, I built a protein bar company, people are like, oh, that's cute. It's a little candy bar. It's saturated. Like, a lot of them don't really understand or see the end goal, the vision. So yeah, there's a lot of noise that you definitely have to block out, and making sure that you're just, resilient with everything that you do, and know that if you have a good product and if people need it, just keep going until you get it right. And I think that's the one thing that I'm really working on doing. And I think that's really helped out through the whole process.
What is that end goal and vision that people aren't seeing when they hear about your candy bar?
So that's like, the end goal is to be just a bar that is, allergy-friendly product, and even an allergy-friendly company that has, multiple different products, not just a protein bar, but products that are higher in protein. Someone who, is on the go and needs to grab a quick snack that is higher in protein, but also safe to eat. There's a huge need for that. And a company that, targets the millions and millions of individuals that have food allergies is what our end goal is. Someone, a company that people come to and they trust and they believe in, and they know that, like, these products are amazing. They've helped me in my life in so many different ways. And I want to be just, in every single store where we can, cater to every single person that has a food allergy or limitation, or just likes, a clean labeled protein bar.
Yeah. What is it about high protein that is important in your eyes?
Yeah. So protein, is extremely important with just, keeping your body going, muscle regrowth. Everyone's always on the go, even for just brain health and stuff. You're always thinking, even if you're just sitting at your desk at work and you don't feel like you're as physically active, your brain burns a lot of calories just, working in general. So having a product that's, higher in protein and that fuels your body, I think is super important for decision making, for just everything, for going about your day, staying kind of level and steady, and not getting too crazy in emotions. And I think it really helps in so many different ways.
I was having dinner with a friend who has just kind of graduated their medical. I can't remember which stage they're at. But we were talking about nutrition. I've been listening to a lot of nutrition podcasts, microbiome kind of things. And there's so much mixed messaging out there. But they were saying that their training doesn't really cover a lot of nutrition. Like it's almost none, other than like very basic pieces. Was this a world you learnt about as part of your studies, or was this something you were interested in and had to grow your knowledge for the business?
Yeah, so my knowledge of, health and exercise and nutrition actually started back in high school. So when I was in high school, I ended up actually fracturing my back playing football, and that, changed my course completely. So I was, a little overweight, and I was, playing football. I was on the line. So they wanted you to beef up and be heavier and eat, crappy foods that would put on weight, and they didn't really care too much about it. And, having something so massive in your life that kind of puts a halt on everything that you're doing made me really realize like, okay, like, it's definitely healthier to be a little thinner and to watch what you put into your body and learn more about nutrition. And that kind of really jump started my, health and exercise thirst of knowledge to learn as much as possible. And that, looking back on it, could have started the reason why I went down, maybe medical school or that kind of road. And then it just helped in general with building this protein bar company, because it's like, it's all I've known for the past, so many years is being, healthy and exercising and putting, clean label ingredients and foods into your body. So that kind of all started, on my own research and stuff. But yeah, through school, you don't really learn too much about that. I did take a nutrition class, but I didn't find it actually very valuable. I thought it was a little outdated and not as, important as what you could just learn through YouTube or podcasts, really.
Yeah, I definitely know the feeling of injuring yourself during sports and then having a relook at your nutritional intake. I was doing a lot of trail running last summer, like 5-hour days on the trail, and then
that's a lot.
To do that, I would just go home and stuff my face with pizza. It's so common just to take basically sweets, gummies out trail running with you just to keep you going. And then I went and broke my knee surfing, and I couldn't do anything. And since then, I've been taking a long, hard look at the kind of foods I'm eating and being a lot more conscious about that. You mentioned something in there, clean label foods, I think. What is that?
Yeah, so I feel like nowadays there's so many different foods and even ingredients that can kind of be labeled as different things. I know, like what we try to do with at least Alio is make sure that all of our ingredients are as clean as possible, because that's something that I really, personally, and I think a lot of other people like to look at is like what actually goes into the bar, what goes into your ingredients, what are you actually like, digesting. Like, it's good that it's 170 calories, but is it made from, synthetic, material ingredients, or is it actually, no natural ingredients? So I wanted to really make a clean label product, and that's why we are using, plant fibers as our, emulsifier instead of some other ingredients. We're using, a pea and rice blend. We're using cocoa powder, like a lot of natural ingredients, tapioca fiber, to come together to make a bar that's as clean as possible, but also, as healthy as possible and still taste as great. So I think, making something that's clean is super important nowadays. And I feel like that's going to, keep going for the foreseeable future.
When you started making these recipes, you obviously have a lot of different goals, the high protein, the free from allergy. Usually there's always a compromise somewhere. So like, what were some of those challenges you faced in getting the mix right, and how did you decide which was most important for your product?
Yeah, so when we started, and I was looking at some of the vegan bars out there, some of the big name vegan bars, and they have around 20 grams of protein for around 200 calories at a decent size weight bar, 60 grams. And I was like, okay, this is what I would love to do. I would love to get a bar that's got 20 grams of protein, that's around 200 calories, but allergy friendly. Realized that was pretty challenging to also then make it taste good, which is a big thing, because if you can't use, or it'll also make the texture good without using, nuts and those kind of fats, your texture goes out the window. You don't have as much oil, so you got to bring in something else. So what we decided to end up doing is we ended up bringing the calories down a little bit lower, but also the protein down a little bit lower from 20 grams. So that was a little bit of a compromise. So we're at 15 grams of protein, which is still, high protein, a great amount of protein for our, calorie amount. But yeah, we had to, make some of those small tweaks and changes. And we also did that along the way. So we went from, the kitchen, just throwing things in the food processor, doing probably hundreds of different batches, then finding a facility that's allergy friendly, that can work with us at the, scale that we needed to start at, and that had the proper certifications and all that. We then, make that move, and that took us to the next level of going from making 3 or 4 bars in a little food processor for just the family to try to see what it likes, to making, hundreds of bars, to then bringing it out to the public. So there was a lot of different steps that we had to do in there as well before we could actually get the product out and to sell it.
Yeah, where did you even start with that recipe? Like day one, you've got a blender at home. What do you put in it? How do you know what to make? And how
Yes,
much did it change from that first version to the thing that's now going out to production?
it changed so much, but yeah, we took some ingredients that were on other bars, and luckily, all of your ingredients have to be on the back of the product, any food product. So we were able to see, like, okay, like, what kind of protein powders are they using? What kind of fibers are they using? How are they binding all of everything together? Like, what kind of sweeteners are they using? I don't want to use sugar, so we can use an alternative of, like, monk fruit or allulose. So just, getting all of those ingredients and then throwing them together in ratios that we thought would work well, finding out, like, okay, if I put, X amount of grams in, I'll have, 15 grams of protein with 170 calories, and then, 10 grams of fiber. So kind of working on ratio that way. And then, working backwards on taste almost to see, like, okay, we have a great product that, looks great on paper, but how does it taste? Because that's one of the most important things. If your bar doesn't taste good, or any food product doesn't taste good, you're not really going to have people buy again. You're not going to, have a long-term company, I feel like. So yeah, so going down that road, and like I said, there was hundreds of different formulas that we came up with and threw out before we went to our first test run, which was to take it from, the couple bars that we made at home in the kitchen to, I think we probably did a test run of a few hundred bars to make sure it scaled. And that was another process of its own. We probably did a few different test runs to make sure it scaled, 3 or 4 different times, because we had to increase some oils. We had to change things, because going from, a small food processor to high level scale is greatly different. And that changed a lot of things. So we actually started this company under a different name, and we started selling that company under a different name. So we were originally Bliss Bars, and then we did all of our research development under that. We decided to, take that to market after probably 2 years of, research and development, trying to figure out the product, trying to figure out how to make it scale, make it taste good. And then we started selling that product in 2022 around August, September time. And then, we started selling. We were on our website, on Amazon. And then at the end of 2022, we actually had a trademark issue. So the USPTO they said that we couldn't move forward with our name, getting it trademarked, because we needed to, there was a confusion with another company. So I tried to appeal it, and they just didn't accept it. So I decided that, another roadblock coming up, but this time we'll change the name. And the timing of it actually worked out very, very well. Like, looking back on it, we had some feedback from our customers and some, people who have tried the bar, that the taste was not quite there. The texture was a little dry and sandy, and we just needed to improve the product a lot. So we then, took almost the entire year of 2023 and, changed our name, changed the company, and reformulated and really redeveloped the product into what it is today. And that was the best thing we could have done.
Those 2 years for your first brand, Bliss Bars, of R&D, like, who were you testing with? Like, what stages? You talked about you and your family in the kitchen, but how far did you expand that before actually starting to sell these?
So yeah, so we then, from the family just trying the bars, we got something that we thought was good. We then took it out to some friends and to some friends' friends, and tried to just keep, expanding it slowly to see, who likes it, who doesn't. And we were trying to get people who consume protein bars, because it's not a Hershey's bar. It is a protein bar. It's healthy. So we wanted to, get someone who actually was in that space of eating bars. And then from there, we decided to just take the jump. I was like, I'm not going to really find out how good it is until I get people to buy it. And then if they don't like it, they're going to come back and they're going to tell me. So we decided to just go to manufacturing, put the product out there, and we wanted to see what happened. And that, looking back on it, was the best thing to do. I feel like, just because you're not going to know until you get it out there and get your first couple paying customers to tell you what it was like. And we had a lot of good success with that bar, but we had a lot of people who, it ended up over time just drying out a little bit. There's a lot of small things that I didn't know back then with, like wrapper thickness and different types of powders and mixtures that, just improved the bars so much. And taking that year or about 10 months to redevelop and reformulate just helped us so much in creating this product now that everyone loves. So we changed the name. The new name is Alio, which is pretty fitting. It's Latin for different and other. And it took about 4 months to find that name. Did it the right way this time. Hired a lawyer, made sure that it wasn't going to have any issue, because the USPTO, at least for the United States, takes about 10 to 12 months to let you know if your name was going to get accepted or not. And I didn't want to have to risk that again. So we decided to, do it the right way. Hired a lawyer, found the proper name, hired some food scientists and, developers in the space, and really made this product what it is today. And now everyone loves the bar.
You mentioned some lessons you learned along that process, like something about thickness of packaging, something about powders. Like what are those, some of those lessons that someone's going to try and come and make your competitor? How can you make their life easier by sharing your expertise?
Yeah, so I think, and some of these lessons you can't find out until you truly do it, because, I was you look at other companies and it might work for them, but it might not work for your product. So I think trial and error is huge for this. And I found out that, a lot of protein bars companies, they take years to go through research and development. It's all trial and error. There's no way to, speed up the process of how your bar is going to taste and feel and look over time. The only way to do that is to give it time. So there's a lot of things that we've learned for our product specifically that might not really work for someone else. But, one thing that I did learn that could help someone just in general with building a business, and it hurt us in the beginning, is really, if you find, that like someone is pushing you, or someone really wants to get something done, usually that's when you need to take a step back and look at like, well, what's the real motive here? And that, hit us hard in the beginning. So before we found our current manufacturer, we actually had a place that was that we were ready to go and manufacture with and start our test run. And then I was asking a few questions, super new, had no idea what was going on. And I think it's okay to ask questions. And it wasn't like I was, asking for any trade secrets or trying to get, crazy things from this person. And they were like, no, you have to pay us to move forward. And it didn't really sit well with me, but I was like, you know what? It's been years of trying to develop this product. Let's just do it. So going against, my better judgment, we decided to pay them. And then 2 weeks later, they actually ended up going out of business. So it was quite unfortunate, but there was a lot of, those red flags in the beginning, and it's, they just kept pushing. So sometimes you do have to work fast, but taking it a little bit slower is sometimes a little bit more smooth. And yeah, so that was a big lesson of, if someone's pushing you to pay them or to figure it out, you got to kind of feel like, all right, well, we're not fully ready yet. Like, I didn't ask for too much, let's take a break and see what's going on. But yeah, the best way to learn and find that all out is to just take your product and put it out into the market, because they will tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah. What did the market say to your new launch of Alio? Like, have you still had to go through another round of refining and editing?
So currently we have not, luckily. So everyone with this new launch, we relaunched at the end of November of 2023. And so back with the old product, we actually had a college that reached out to us, and they wanted our bars in their athletic programs for their student athletes. So we sent them some bars, and I was like, this is a great idea. Let's try to get in all the schools. So just cold emailed a bunch of schools and found out that, they really need our product, sent them bars, and none of them really liked it, unfortunately, of the old product. So only good thing is we still had those connections. We then relaunched in November. I reached back out. I'm like, hey, I know you tried the old bars. We completely changed everything. Give us one more chance on these new product, on this new bar. And they did. And, so many of these schools like it. So many customers that were iffy about the product before love our new bars. We've been selling out basically every single month. And, we're trying to now gear up for just a bigger production run and take it to the next level, so we can then just keep expanding and growing. So everything's been great so far.
That's great. Yeah. Did you have to think about your launch strategy much beforehand, or have you just kind of taken opportunities as they've come and grown slowly through that?
Yeah, so so before when I did the 1.0 version of this bar, I was too afraid to really, put it out there and tell people what I was doing. So I didn't have a great launch strategy. I was kind of just like, I'm just going to launch and we'll just see what goes on. And that was definitely a mistake. And advice for anyone who's thinking about maybe doing something: talk to your customers, get in the Facebook groups, talk to your customers, get out on the streets and find people who might be your ideal customer and see, would you like this product? Would you like to join our email list? And we did that when we were relaunching. Really spoke with the customers, really tried to see what they really wanted, built an awesome email list, an awesome community of individuals who were just raving fans of our product. And it really, really helped the launch and really, really helped ignite our growth for the future.
You've been through a couple of rebrands, or brands and then rebrands in this process. What does that journey look like for you? Like, are you working with creative agencies on that? Are you doing it all yourself? And how are you figuring out how your brand should show up in the world, from the name to the packaging to the messaging?
Yeah, so we're bootstrapping this company, so everything has been done pretty much by myself. I've been trying to be as, scrappy and strategic as possible. We have had to, like I said, when we were reformulating, we had to hire a, food processing developer and scientist. But for rebranding and everything, we took the time to just find a name ourselves, just going months and months of searching different names and seeing what was available, seeing what worked well with the brand. And it ended up working out really well. I love the new name. I think it's awesome. And even with the packaging, I was working with a graphic designer who I actually went to college with, and the first packaging that we did, I actually put a little too much input myself into how I wanted it to look, how I thought it should look. And a lot of people were like, I just don't feel like the look really matches what it is. I don't think it's too great, all of this. So, the second go around, I was like, all right, just going to take my hands off the oars here and allow you, as the graphic designer, the one who has all of that, creative, free-flowing design knowledge in him, just go design, go make it how you think it should look. Here's the name, here's what we're trying to do. And I think it worked out really well. So sometimes you do have to give up that control and allow someone to come in and use their expertise to make it the way it should be. And other times, at least for us with being scrappy, you just have to put in the time, put in the work, put in the hours, and get searching for different names or different formulas or different ingredients that you need to make the product work and it all work.
Yeah. As you continue down this path, how do you work out what you should be delegating because someone else will have, greater expertise versus, no, that's not worth the money. I can learn how to do this myself and figure it out.
Yeah, that's, still something I'm trying to work on because as, the founder who's been doing it 100% for the past couple of years, it's very hard to give up some control and be like, all right, we're going to bring in an outside, company to take care of the sales, take care of the marketing and all that stuff. And that's something that I really want to do actually in the future, in the very near future, is to bring someone in who knows, internet marketing and social media marketing and stuff like that. It's not really my expertise. And I think being able to know like what you're not the best at is super important because a lot of founders might think that they're the best at everything and they have to do it. And that was kind of me in the beginning with the design. I was like, no, this is how it should look. And, the general population didn't like it as much, but the new design, when you bring in someone who actually knows how to design and has that creative aspect to them, it's just works so much better. So being able to be comfortable with giving up some of that responsibility is super big. And that's just like a learning process. And I'm still trying to work on that.
Yeah, well, I guess it's hard because you weren't an expert at creating a business, right? So you've had to do this. You've had to go and do things that you knew nothing about. So like that mindset must just carry over to everything. But now you've got to build and grow and expand your team.
Yeah, you have to make that switch, know when to make that switch, and then, bring in the experts and, make sure it all runs smooth.
Who is in your team? I know you mentioned your brother at the start of this, but like, is he a part of it now, or is it just you for the moment?
It's just me for the moment. He helps out, but he's, still in college, so he's got his own stuff going on. But yeah, my whole family has been, great in this entire process and helping out. But right now, it's just me, 100% owner of the company, and making the day-to-day work.
Is that something you see changing anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, take it to that next level, bring in, an investor, an influencer, and allow, the company to really grow beyond what I can do at this stage right now. We're growing very well, in my opinion, but I think taking that jump of bringing on outside capital, bringing on an audience of people who, that need our product will really take this company to the next level. And that's, something that we're looking at right now.
So is getting external funding like one of your key focuses at the moment? Is that the only real way you can build this brand?
I think we could build the brand, both ways, but I think being able to, bring in outside capital will just help take that growth and just exponentially, grow it. Whereas if we didn't, we would still be able to grow the brand. We're organically selling the product, amazing. It's going very, very well. And I think the growth would just be a little bit slower. So I would love to, bring in the outside capital, be able to then bring in, like we said, give up some of those responsibilities of, finding someone who knows how to run social media ads, who knows how to do all that stuff on the marketing end, and take it, just so it hits just way more people. I mean, we're pretty much only doing organic, marketing right now with a lot of, groups and stuff like that. So being able to take that to the next level would be really beneficial for the growth of the company.
Yeah. What is organic marketing? What counts as that?
Yeah. So we've just been, working in Facebook groups, reaching out to people in the community, introducing them to our product. And, it's been working really, really well for us. Everyone's been loving the idea, loving the bar, loving the product, and, they've been buying it. And we've also been doing a lot of, micro influencers and working with some, social media influencers who have, a following. They either have food allergies themselves or they're in the health space and they have, a couple thousand followers that would just, benefit from our product greatly. Sending them bars, in exchange for some posts and stuff like that has been, working really, really well. So to be able to, get one on the team who's solely, focused, they love the company, they love the bar, they love the product, it impacts them greatly, and they just want to help share and, impact millions of others would be awesome to help get that word out there. And I think that would really ignite the growth.
Of all the different tactics you've been trying so far, are there any that have been, disproportionately more effective than others?
For the sales, I think really, like I said, the two was the Facebook groups have been awesome. And then also the, just the micro influencers have been amazing. They're people who, have that following, but they also really, really need our product and it really, really speaks to them. And they've just been so grateful for us to develop this product, to give it out to the community. And they've been, willing to share it with their community because they just want to help and give back and be like, hey, like I have this amazing product that I found, like you should know about this too, because it really helps.
And with these Facebook groups, what is your approach there? Like what groups are you looking for? How do you decide where to post? Are you just messaging people in channels? What does that look like?
Right. So we've just been being very active in the allergy-friendly Facebook communities, just, talking about what we've been doing. So even from the start, talking to people in the groups like, hey, we're building this company, allergy-friendly protein bar company. This is what's going to be in it. This is how it's going to be, laid out with the ingredients, nutrition facts, all that. Would you like to come along for kind of the journey, the ride of developing this product and just talking to them, building a name for myself and building up the, my community in those groups has been really, really beneficial. And then once we come time to, we launched our product, then made the announcement of like, hey, we finally have that product out there. I know you guys have been waiting months for this and it's finally here. And then just that transition has been really easy for them to come over and buy it because they've been, invested in that process. They need the bar, they need what we're offering. And it's just been amazing to, give back, to help and see how excited they are after they have the bar and can, eat something while on the go that they haven't been able to do before.
So are most of these sales coming through your website? And are you looking into other strategies like selling in store?
Right. So yeah, we're funneling most of the people to our website, but we are on Amazon And we also are selling in some gyms, some sports complexes, and then looking to go into retail. We also have multiple college accounts that we're working with, in their athletic programs. And then, the next phase is expanding that retail side. So going and starting, regionally, and then, expanding into more national retail chains is what our goal is. And it's exciting to think about.
Maybe it's too early to tell, but do you have a sense of if this wants to be the big vision of a brand that you hope, will that be mostly retail, or will direct to consumer online be like a large part of that strategy?
So I think it's going to be mostly retail. And I think, the direct consumer is amazing for that proof of concept, and you bring in those customers and you can hit people in different aspects. But being in the large retail, being in the Whole Foods, being in the Sprouts, being in the Kroger, like all of those large retail chain stores is where this product should be, needs to be, and it's where it will be to really grow this company into the massive brand that it can be to impact the millions of individuals that have food allergies and limitations.
Is your business profitable already, or do you have a path to what it takes for you to be profitable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we're selling the bars, we're making profit on the bars. We have decent margins actually right now, direct to consumer. We're about 40% in profit margins, direct to consumer. We need to, increase our orders for our, production sizes to help increase those margins and make retail a little bit more profitable. That's been one reason why we haven't pushed the larger retails, because there's distributor costs, there's, buybacks, there's a lot of different things in there. And until we get to that volume, we'd be unfortunately losing money at the retail stage at the time being right now. But working on those margins, working on that volume, we're getting to the point where we're very, very close to, take it to that next level, go to retail and actually be able to have, competitive margins at a competitive price, and both parties will be able to make money.
What does refining those margins look like? Is that about changing the recipe? Is it to do with changing suppliers and manufacturers?
It's mostly just volume. It's just, increasing, going from, the next stage in the amount that we can produce, and just, ordering more ingredients at one time, being able to make more bars in the same amount of time as we've been doing in the past. And that's just, take some time to work out the little kinks of, manufacturing, to then get to the point where we can start making, tens of thousands of bars a day, and our margins will be a lot better.
I guess the only reason you wouldn't be doing those larger orders now is you're trying to manage the risk of placing a big order and not being able to sell the product.
I think we would actually be able to push that product pretty easily, but I do want to scale it up. One thing I've learned in this whole journey is I don't want to move too fast. And I think going from, 5,000 bars in order to 50,000 bars in order is a massive jump. And there's a lot of things that could possibly go wrong in there. So I'd rather take that time to, even just production wise, make sure that, the formula still scales accordingly. I think things can change a little bit as they go into larger volumes. And also upfront capital is one thing that we're, getting together to just make a larger run as well. I think the sales will follow once we get all of that set up.
Being a edible product, do you have to deal with expiry dates for the ingredients and things like that? Or is it like the things you're using have like a long lifespan, shelf life?
So we do have to worry about, shelf life and stuff. And a big thing was getting it to that 12-month shelf life. And that's what we did, just a couple weeks ago. We finally, used a third-party food lab testing company and got our bar to 12 months shelf life, which is an awesome thing to do for retail. They really like to make sure that you have 12 months at least at a minimum. And that's about the sweet spot number for us and for a lot of food products. So that's huge. We've been selling our bars, basically selling out every single month. So haven't had that problem of having a bar that's been a year old, but it can sit on the shelf for a while and still be perfectly fine.
Yeah. What does your day look like as an entrepreneur running everything in this business?
Yeah, so right now it's very hectic. We are packaging everything up ourselves, and by we I mean me. It's just me, doing everything. So spending a lot of time packaging up everything myself, shipping out orders, because every day just, an influx of a crazy amount of orders. So getting those bars out there in a timely fashion is super important. And then just, working on selling more product and expanding the company and making more connections, and you're setting up events, working on getting into, different gyms and retail stores and stuff like that, and just dealing with the small things that come up every single day. So it's fun. It's super exciting. Definitely long days, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
You had to sacrifice anything else in your life to grow this business?
Luckily, I have not had to sacrifice anything. It's been working, pretty well, where I can kind of balance everything. I mean, there's definitely the days of, the days are long with work, but I haven't had to sacrifice too much, which has been awesome.
Have there been any moments where you've wished you'd continued down the path of being a doctor? And how do you pull yourself out of those moments?
There's definitely a lot of those moments, and I think it happens to everyone, but I would say probably like once or twice a week, there's unfortunately something comes up and you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I dealing with all of these things? And then, you take some time, you realize that, a normal job is always going to be there, but doing something different, building something, doing something on your own that can impact and doing something that you're building that can impact, millions and millions of individuals is something that, if you have that passion, you have that desire, and you have a product that's good, you just can't stop. I would never be able to, be okay with myself if I gave up now after everything that we've been through to just, kind of quit it all and go back and do a regular job for the rest of my life. I would not be able to do that. So even though some days are very, very challenging, I do find that, after you go take a walk outside or just go to the gym, go exercise, go do something else, come back with a clean head, a clear head, and then just realize like this is, millions of people love this bar, need this bar, and it's just getting through another one of those little hurdles, and at the end of the day it's going to be all worth it.
Yeah, what are some of those hurdles that crop up that you've had to overcome?
It's just dealing with, the customer service aspect of it, of your product, being either delayed or ingredients not being in stock, and just the small things like that you really can't control, but just have to work around. You have to push production back a little bit because ingredients aren't coming. You get your film comes in and it's just not produced right. Just a lot of small things, or even customer service of the product is, they think it should be one way and it's a different way. Just a lot of small things that just create minor headaches, but they kind of all add up.
Do you think a lot of these things are things that are first time found problems, and that you like coming back, if you were doing another business, they would be things you just like know how to fix up front, or a lot of them just so random that you couldn't control them?
I think some of them, you live and you learn, for sure. Like the one time we had I tried to be clear to make sure, like, is all the ingredients in stock? And I guess I didn't ask exactly, is everything in stock? I just said, do you have this? And of course they have it. Who knows if it's in stock or not? And come to find out it wasn't in stock. So a lot of these things, you look back, and I'm not going to make that mistake again in this business, but if I was to start another one, I would know, like, okay, be super clear with everything that's, that you're asking for. Because I would assume that, like, if I send you a purchase order for some pea protein and, like, you tell me it's good, it's actually in stock, but you need to make sure, like, there's just a lot of small things that you can fix. But also, I think there's a ton of things that just happen, that just come up, that you are way out of control, with shipping, with, ordering, and all of those different things. And it seems like the bigger the company is, the bigger the problems are in that, regard. So I'm sure it's the same for everyone. And I'm, excited for the bigger problems that we're going to have when we're doing more, selling more bars.
What do you wish that someone had told you before you became a founder that would have helped you, or maybe changed your mind and told you never to do it?
No, I think, advice that I would tell someone, and I wish I got myself, is that it's going to be, like, extremely challenging, and there's going to be, so many doubts and so many, just hurdles that are going to come your way. But I think that fulfillment that it brings, especially if you believe in your product, and if you have customers that believe in your product, is worth all of it. And just to keep pushing through that, and also knowing that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to doubt you, and to throw, hate towards your way just because you're doing something different. But they just kind of, like, have a strong very strong ability to just block that out is super important, and something that I wish, someone would tell me, because that's something that you see on social media, all of the positives and everything. You're like, oh, it's just all sunshine and rainbows, and a lot of it's really not. That's probably about 5% of the whole process. There's a lot of loneliness in this, starting a company and entrepreneurial journey, and a lot of those aren't really explained and shown, and that's just one thing. But I wish someone told me, but to also be strong enough to just push through it and know that, like, I have a great product. This impacts millions of people. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this product a success and to impact those millions of individuals.
Mm-hmm. The challenge you mentioned there. I heard recently someone talking about the idea that some people just need more friction in their lives to feel satisfied. And I wonder, you obviously have a lot of that friction and challenge in your business. Is that something you seek outside of work as well? Or is it like, this is enough? I go and just like relax, and I'm very easygoing, and I don't set goals for the rest of my life?
I really think that I've never actually thought about it that way, about the friction and stuff. And I don't like a life that has a lot of friction, really. I like a life that's very smooth, but I do like to set very large goals. So maybe, very large goals do in turn create a little bit of friction, because you're moving some big things around to make those goals happen. So yeah, I mean, I do definitely have some big goals for my business, for my life in general. And maybe that, is all part of it. And having a little bit of friction kind of, makes it all worth it.
How do you break down those goals for your business in terms of, you've obviously got like a broad, big plan, but then how do you think about like what the next month or 6 or 12 months is going to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really like to, break it up into 6 months, into 6 month increments. And I feel like, you can, 6 months happens really, really fast. And I feel like a lot of the times I'm like, oh, I want to hit this in 6 months. And you're like, well, I only got about halfway there. My 6 month goals usually are my 12-month goals at the end when I look back, and it's still fine. But yeah, I like to break that up and just take it, a little slower, because I feel that, like, if you do, you can at least make it more manageable. Because like I said, 6 months isn't a ton of time, but then also add a few, nuggets and a few pieces in there that are really decent and big stretches that, really make you work and really make you think and put in those extra hours. So there's a lot of goals I'd like to put in there that I can hit and will hit, that, are kind of just steps on that ladder, but then also throw a few in there that are like really big, and that you're just like, looking at, and you're like, all right, like we can get to that if we just keep working. But yeah, that's kind of how we'll do it.
Things you work with your mentor on in terms of what those goals should be and how to approach them?
A lot of times we will discuss that, and a lot of times it's just, personal, of how I feel that, the company should go, what I would like to hit. I want to be in, 30 different colleges and 50 different retail stores, like some things like that, of just numbers that I think we can definitely do. And, hopefully we hit those.
So too. What can people who love Alio expect coming from you in the next 6 or 12 months? Do you have new products coming out? Do you have new flavors?
Yeah, so we have 3 flavors right now. We have a cookie dough, we have a mint, we have a brownie bar. We're going to keep those 3 flavors for a while, and then hopefully in the near future come out with a new flavor that really doesn't have too much chocolate in it. Maybe a snickerdoodle, or something down that kind of road. We've had a lot of people that have reached out and be like, hey, like, could you do one that's no chocolate? We also are working on a bar that doesn't have any pea protein in it. So if you're allergic to peanuts, peas are very, very close. They're both actually legumes, and peanuts are not actually nuts. They're a legume. So even though pea is not a top 9 allergen, it's not even a top 14 allergen, there is that correlation. So creating a bar that is high in protein, that has peas, and also another bar that is, around the same but doesn't have peas, would be another line that we are working on. So we could really cater to, a larger part of the population that might, not really be in that top 9, but still have a common allergy that's used in so many different things. I mean, pea protein's used everywhere, and that is, something that we would love to take out. And then long-term future, would love to have an array of products that are allergy friendly, higher in protein, that someone can, have a ready to go snack, whether it's a drink, whether it's a bar, whether it's, something else down the line, that we can, offer the consumer. that they could just use, be the one-stop shop for everything.
With the pea protein piece, do you have a sense of what ingredient will replace it? Like, what is an alternative high protein food?
At this time, we're actually not too sure. We've been starting to work with a couple different things and getting a couple different samples, but also just getting feedback of seeing like, I don't want to make another bar that then people come back and they're like, oh, well, I'm allergic to this as well. This is also a super, super common allergy. So, taking the time and making sure it's done right is something that I really want to do. And just, getting feedback from people and making sure that we have the proper ingredient is going to be super important. And, we just aren't exactly sure what that will be yet.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest challenges in your roadmap are for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is going to be, taking the product and the bar to the next level with growth, with inventory and all of that stuff, because we've been great up until this point of doing, some smaller runs and each month we've been selling out. But it's like, okay, we're ready to take that next step of growth. Now we need to go order, 50,000 bars, and we need to go, really put ourselves out there to then just to sell, to be able to get into a lot more stores, to be able to get into do a lot more events, samplings, and just sell so many more bars. So really figuring out how to put the structure in place to take the company to the next level with, more product, more systems in place, and maybe even outsourcing, the social media, the marketing aspect of that, and being okay with that. And, just getting to that next level of like, what is, a company like us, our size, we're working really well. We just got to make that jump. So that's definitely the next 6 to 12 months. And also getting into retail, figuring out that whole aspect. I would love to be in a big, retail store by the end of 2020.
Keep my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
We're pretty much at time, so just a couple more questions. What is the most unique thing you've learned thanks to starting your business?
The most unique thing is just how powerful like we are, like as people, as creators. I feel like we can, if we put our mind to something, we can basically do anything we want. And it goes to show with what I've done and how I feel is we've created a product that's never been created before, based out of just, throwing things together, different ingredients, and a lot of trial and error. You put a lot of time, energy, and effort into something. I think we can do a lot more than we really believe we can. And that's the coolest thing to see, creating something from nothing and being like, wow, like I did that. And everyone can do the same thing. But just having that faith in yourself is super important.
Yeah, I love that. It's often much easier once you get started than you ever think it will be. So many other problems will throw themselves up during the process. But I find people are always amazed that I've started a podcast. I'm like, It's literally the easiest thing you could possibly do. You just grab a mic, grab a person, and Spotify will let you put the podcast on there. But the creation process is so valuable. It teaches you so much about yourself and your capabilities.
Yeah, it's so true. You break it down into the basic aspects, and I feel like it is definitely simple, but that, the creation side takes a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Patrick, where can people go to find out more about you and Alio?
Yeah, so they
tasty bars.
They can go check out our website. It's livealio.com, and that's where all of our bars are. We're also on Amazon, and then we have a Instagram, Facebook. It's Live Alio, and you can also check out personal side on LinkedIn. Post a lot of updates about the business as well. But if you just want the bars, our website is the best place to get it. Live Alio.
Perfect. I will link to those in the show notes. Patrick, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, and to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in.